What's going on, everybody, today? So today we're going to be interviewing Jim Bates from the Seattle area. And I don't know if he's exactly in Seattle, but it's up in that region of Washington. So we're going to get to meet Jim today, learn some cool stuff about the Seattle area, hopefully. And I believe Tank Guy. Don't quote me on it, but we're going to find out. All right? How's it going, Jim?
All right. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome.
Good. Me too. Thanks for having me on.
So we'll start out. You just got back from Nationals, right?
Absolutely. Got back late last night.
How was that?
It was unbelievable. Styrene Nirvana.
No, it looked really, really cool.
Yeah, it was every Nationals is awesome in its own individual way, but this is the most, tons of models, tons of quality. It's both simultaneously making me want to quit and take up knitting and also inspiring me to get back to the bench.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. Like there was a TIE Fighter one that had a big, huge diorama base of like, I'll say a Death Star, or Star Destroyer or whatever. But yeah, totally cool. I was really, really enjoying some of that.
Yeah, there was lots of airplanes, lots of tanks. My three favorites were all airplanes because I'm mostly an airplane guy. There was a Vacuform 148 short Sterling, which, thinking about what that started out with, is just sheets of plastic. It was amazing. There was a tiny Gloucester Gladiator that the guy opened up. And then a scratch-built Sikorsky Sky Crane. And that won Best Aircraft. And then there was tons of cool sci-fi, real space, armor, wicked stuff.
How many models were there this year? Do you know?
I don't know exactly. I think it's going to hover somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000. And what I think happened is I think it broke the record. But I don't know the exact numbers because I took off last night. I did not go to the banquet, and I was on a plane, so I couldn't really text anybody. By the time I landed, it was too late. So it'll be interesting to see what the final numbers were. But it was a great show. They did a great job.
No, yeah, it looked like an awesome show. So
yeah, so much fun. Everybody should go to a Nationals once.
Yeah, I should have went this year, but I was like, no, it's in Vegas. That'll be bad for me.
Yeah, Vegas has positives and negatives, but I barely left the hotel.
So go ahead and plug your channel, any social media stuff that you want to plug right now.
Okay, well, I started out a long time ago doing a blog called A Scale Canadian. It's ascalecanadian.com. And life has changed over the few years, and I kind of stopped doing that a little bit. And then when the lockdown hit, I started up Scale Canadian TV on YouTube, and I do these wacky videos, which are sort of me, but also kind of a outgoing guy. Video, and they're kind of a little bit nuts. And the last one before Nationals was all a fear and loathing. And I really just started doing that just to motivate myself to make more progress on models. Because I love building, but I'm not great at always following through. And I'm kind of the ultimate ADD squirrel. Something new comes, and then I immediately start that without finishing what I've done. So I kind of did the Scale Canadian TV to kind of force me to build more.
That's awesome. Now that's strictly your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, that's my YouTube channel, and then there's a blog as well, which is ascalecanadian.com. And where I come at this is I'm kind of pretty average modeler, and also I love research, so I do a lot of research. I've published a lot of stuff with IPMS Canada. Working on some other articles right now that one actually a deadline is this week, so I better get to work. Which will be in, I think, the Warbird Digest magazine. So I just try to do a lot of kind of historical stuff. It's really fun to me.
That's really, really cool. Now where I first found you was podcast. Plastic.
Yeah, I'm friends with both. Well, I'm really close friends with Dave Knights, who started the Plastic Model Mojo podcast. and I've also become pretty close friends with the Plastic Model Mojo guys. So I've appeared on both those podcasts. Once, a long time ago, I was on Stuart Clark's podcast, and just Saturday, because I happened to be in a hotel room with the Mojo guys, I ended up on the bench. So basically, what I'm telling everybody is I'm just waiting for what podcast is going to give me the biggest dollar amount, and I'll join them.
Yeah, I bet, dude. And to be honest, those are probably, how should I say this? They have a network.
Yes.
And they all plug one another. It's such a great environment for those.
Yeah, and at the Nationals I'm going to mix up my days. On Friday, we did a kind of a podcast meet and greet roundtable, and it was the Mojo guys, the Posse guys, and the Model Geeks, and it's totally fun. And I think what we're all trying to do with our stuff in our own different ways is build a community. A community of modelers, and be inclusive, and everybody's welcome. And there's always some of that tribalism in modeling of, well, you're a car guy and I'm this, and you hear airplane guys refer to tanks as targets and all this stuff. And I think we need to be more open about everything, and just, if you model and you like it, that's awesome. And one of the things I said during the roundtable is there's like a mediocre modelers group on Facebook. I think it's Andy of Hobby Headquarters. And that kind of a little bit torques me off, because there's no such thing as a mediocre model. If you finish your model, it's awesome, And I wish we would be a little less judgy about what everybody does, and just be inclusive and understanding. And we're all modelers, and it's all awesome.
Well, and if you want to be that judgy, there is a group that you can join, and everybody knows which group that is.
Right.
Right. And, at some point I want to get one of those guys on here, but yeah, I just haven't been able to work that out yet. But.
Right. Yeah. And I'm not going to sit here. That's not my approach, but that probably works for some people, so it's all good. My goal is try to be, let's be open, let's be inclusive. One of the things that being involved in IPMS, I'm actually the social media coordinator and industry liaison for IPMS Canada. I think that IPMS needs to embrace everything. And we all know the biggest area of modeling is Gundams, tanks from World of Tanks, and we need to be more inclusive of that stuff. And, I'm an airplane guy, and I'm an old school. I kind of build like, it's the 1980s, but if we're going to get younger modelers into the hobby, we need to be more sci-fi. We need to be more Gundam. And I think we just need to include everybody.
Yeah, that little boy. No, that's really cool. And it's all kind of perspective at the end of the day.
Right.
And I kind of wanted to get your opinion on how you take the hobby being on the West Coast compared to someone on like middle of the state, because there's a big difference. At least I see it. I was curious to see what you thought.
Yeah, so I used to live in Ohio before I came out to the West Coast. The big differences I see, and I'm a 72nd scale aircraft builder mostly. I dabble in 72nd and 48 tanks and a little bit of Bandai Star Wars just because it's cool. I see a lot more sci-fi, Gundam stuff out on the West Coast. I think in the Midwest, it's more traditional view of modeling of you're taking something and you're trying to replicate reality. What was amazing to move to the Seattle area, and I'm actually in Tacoma, which is just south of Seattle, is how big the club is and how embracing it is of all genres and scales. And I didn't see that as much in the Midwest. The other big difference for me is in the Midwest, and this is back before when we could leave the house. In the Midwest, there was a model show every weekend you could go to. And that's not the case here. There's a lot less than there used to be. There's Seattle, there's Portland, there's Vancouver. And if you're not going into California, I think they were starting to do one, like just when COVID started, they were starting to do one in Oregon somewhere. So it's bigger shows, but less of them. And I actually kind of like that better. one of the things that I kind of look at in the modeling world with the being all inclusive is I'm not a huge fan of contests, because I think it causes a lot of dissension and scares people off from modeling. And the one cool thing we do here in Seattle is there's two clubs. There's an IPMS Seattle club, which is huge. They do a traditional show. And then we have a smaller club that meets at the Museum of Flight called Northwest Scale Modelers that we do a show at the Museum of Flight in February every year that is display only. And we've gotten up to 3,000 models at this show. And I think what it opens up is people are not worried, oh, my model's not good enough for the contest, so they bring their models. And that's totally a fun event. One thing I will say is I know almost nothing about model cars, so I'm not sure what the model car thing is here. The other thing about Seattle that's amazing is we have an all-plastic hobby shop here, Skyway Hobbies. And in the Midwest, there are less and less hobby shops every day. When I moved to Cleveland in 97, there were maybe a dozen, maybe half, somewhere between probably 6 and 10 hobby shops. And I'm not sure what's even left anymore. So it's been interesting here that we've got an all plastic shop and the typical hobby towns and things like that. It's really an amazing scene out here in Seattle. And I think it's directly related to a lot of engineers and a lot of aviation people and just a lot of geeky people. Because there's certainly, the Comic Con thing is big here. A lot of the Gundam stuff seems to be huge, and it's just really cool.
And that has a lot to do with the tech industries that are up there.
Absolutely. Too, right? As I said, lots of geeky people here. So
yeah. So I want to talk about the Renton show for a minute. I want you to go into depth on that show because it is I was gonna go last year, and then COVID started kicking off, so I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
Right.
And then they didn't have it this year, right? But next year it's possible. Is that how I understand it?
Okay, so I wanna be clear. Both shows the Renton show is the IPMS Seattle traditional contest. The show at the Museum of Flight, they're technically, I think, Tukwila. So I can talk about the Museum of Flight one. We really do two shows at the Museum of Flight. We do the big show that you've seen the pictures of on the floor with the SR-71 over that, and that's our display-only show. And what we do there is we have models on the table, we have people building, and we have seminars. That's in February every year. And that's at the Museum of Flight. You pay your admission to the Museum of Flight, come in, look at the museum, look at our show. We also do what's called a mini show, which I shouldn't exactly know when it is because I just found out last week I'm going to be organizing it. It's, I think, October, November. We're going to try to pull it off. The hope is the February show will happen this year, but that's completely dependent on what the museum is allowed to do. Now, switching back to the IPMS Seattle show, which is in Renton, it's at the Renton Community Center. That might happen next year. Again, I'm less involved, but yeah, we've had no communication with them that we can do anything. And when I got back home yesterday, I heard we're back on mask mandate starting Monday. So I'm worried we're going to go back into lockdown here in Washington. So I think like with everything, it's just kind of wait and see what happens. But the bad news is Tim Nelson is in charge of the show at the Museum of Flight, and he was supposed to do it 2 more years, and then I was going to take over. And I think he counts last year. He and I are just disputing if last year counts. So I don't know if I'm going to take over in a year or two, but it's awesome. I really highly recommend if you're in the area, come out in February and then check it out. And the Renton show's pretty awesome too. It's in Ohio or in the Midwest, it'd be a regional size show. And there's always stunning models. It amazes me how much talent there is out here.
Yeah, no, yeah. It seems from pictures I've seen, you get quite a few people that kind of show up to that. And I didn't even know it existed till a year and a half ago when I started doing Doug Reed's group out of the Mid-Oregon group.
Yeah.
You know Doug, right?
I have met him. I think that's the group that just tried to do a show They tried to do a show just as COVID was hitting, and I thought about going, but they did it at a VA hospital. And with COVID hitting, I didn't want to go to a VA hospital and infect anybody, so I didn't get to that. But I hope they do it again once we can get back to shows.
So it wasn't at a VA hospital; it's at a VA like retirement center.
Oh, sorry, I misspoke. Yeah, you're right. It was like at a nursing home kind of thing.
Yeah. But it's like just we're gonna talk about it here for a second, but it's just the environment for us and the veteran older people. They're even encouraged to participate.
Yeah.
Like Doug has such a good, unique relationship with that facility. Like they have a build night there once a week, or did have a build night there once a week. Like I really, really hope they go back to doing that, because I would travel the 45 minutes to go to that every week.
Yeah, and I think it's 3 hours for me, but I'd love to do it when we're not worried about a pandemic, and I'm not worried about getting any. I didn't go because I was like, the last thing I wanted is I got COVID, because when this all started, we were kind of the hot spot here in Seattle. And the last thing I would want to do is give some, veteran some disease and have him get sick. So that's why I kind of stayed home. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, because I don't know what the future brings us when it comes to this stuff. Like I'm shocked and excited Nationals happened. But yeah, I don't know when we're going to get back to shows here. I'm hoping February. No,
that's really, really awesome. And yeah, I'm sure because like we're on each other's Facebook page now. I'm going to get to hear a lot more of the Seattle area, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah. We had our first IPMS meeting in Seattle last 2 Saturdays ago. And that was cool because we kind of had some meetings in the park, kind of under the table things, but it was good to see everybody back. I just don't know if we're going to be able to keep doing that, because, this thing doesn't ever seem to go away is what's scary about it.
Well, I don't really want to talk about the COVID thing.
Yeah, I just wish it was over is all I will say.
No, it needs to be far from over. But yeah, I agree. So let's talk about the hobby for a second. What since you do a lot of armor stuff, what's your like go-to tools? What?
Well, as I said, mostly aircraft guy. The things that kind of revolutionized the hobby for me were Tamiya Extra Thin was amazing. And the kind of high-end sprue nippers. The first pair I had that revolutioned was a Tamiya set, and then I got a set of these God Hand sprue nippers, and that was awesome. I've been mostly an Iwata airbrush guy, but I recently got a Harder and Steenbeck, and I've been playing with that, and that's helped me too, of just using a high-end airbrush and learning to paint smaller than I'm used to, because I used to be, turn it up to 100 PSI and hose it on. But I'm teaching myself to paint better. I'm trying to think what else. It's just there's so much cool stuff, and I'm a terrible experimenter. Oh, the other thing I'm loving recently is the AK Real Colors paint. I was at this, and you said tank. I was building a T-34-85, and I got a jar of their 4BO. And I don't want to say spraying it was a religious experience, but it was kind of a religious experience. So my big struggle is painting. I've been airbrushing for forever, but I'm still a newbie at it. And I think the problem is with this kind of stuff, you need to do it every day, and sometimes that doesn't happen here. But I'm really enjoying trying to focus more on getting better finishes.
And I'll say this for the Eugene area, but it's probably same up there in Washington. The environment changes so much up here because of the rain.
Yeah.
And like one day you'll get the mixture just right, and then next week you have to tweak it a little bit because it rained.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so weird.
Well, one of the things I joke about all the time is that I used to use spray cans all the time when I was in the Midwest, and I can't use a spray can to save my life. I don't know what's going on, and I don't know if it's just the humidity or everything, but it is interesting to watch the difference. And a friend of mine, John Miller, has a company called Model Paint Solutions where he sells airbrushes and stuff, and he carries Mission Models paint. And he was asked to go out to Denver to give a talk. And he said it was so interesting about things he does in Seattle with the paint didn't work in the Mile High City. So it is funny how environment, affects what we're doing.
Do you know how to get a hold of that guy?
Sure do.
We're going to talk after this. We're going to talk after this because I've been trying to find him, actually.
Yeah, I can easily hook you up. Not a problem.
So that's pretty much your go-to tools for the most part, right?
Yeah, the other thing I did a few years ago is I switched from X-Actos to scalpel blades, which I really like. And I've got the sanding sticks and all the sanding stuff, and I've got a couple power tools that I don't use much. I got this cool, I think it's called David Union sander, and I haven't played around much with that. In real life, I'm an attorney, so it takes up a lot of time sometimes, and I don't get as much bench time as I would, though I think that's more not managing my time well. And then the other tool, the other hobby tool that's amazing is the internet for research, talking to friends. It's amazing to me when I first started doing this, you kind of had to figure it out from magazines, and now there's a million YouTube channels where you can watch people build, and I sometimes just get dragged into that and blow a couple hours watching modeling instead of doing it, which isn't a great idea.
Yeah, I have that struggle some days. I'm not gonna lie. So have you gotten into the AK weathering pencils or anything yet?
I have got some. I've used them a little bit.
How do you like them?
I like them, but there is certainly a learning curve.
Okay.
One of the things that I think is really cool about them is that you can dip them in water and turn them into solution, which is really kind of neat. But yeah, I'm no expert at them. As I said, I'm 90% airplane, and I'm sort of getting into armor. And one of my problems with armor is trying to conceptualize what I'm trying to do when it comes to weathering, because most of my airplanes are lightly weathered. So that's one of the things I'm excited about. But yeah, it's amazing. AK has done some amazing products. The other one, Tamiya panel liner, is awesome. I'm trying to think what else I use a lot. That's pretty much. I've been paint-wise, I like the kind of Tamiya lacquers. The Tamiya lacquers are great paints. I've just got some of those. A Tamiya LP11 is the greatest natural silver paint I've ever seen. But yeah, the pencils are cool, and there's so much cool stuff out there, and you can spend all day experimenting, and it's awesome. Everybody says it sounds like a cliche, but everybody says it's the golden age of the hobby, and it is. But on the other side, I think by the end of the year or next year, all of us will have our own individual paint line. I can't understand how there's a new line of paint every couple of weeks coming out.
I have my opinion on that, but
it's crazy. It used to be Humbrol and Testers. Now it's like I would hate to be a hobby shop owner.
Well, that's a good point, because around here, I can go to there's a bunch of the little Warhaming.
Yeah. And
each one has a different line of paint.
Yep.
For the Warhammer stuff. So I can go get Citadel. I can go get Army Painter. I can go get Green Stuff World.
Yep.
And then the hobby shop carries mission models, which I haven't tried yet.
Yep.
And then they carry Tamiya if they can get it in again.
Right. Well, our local hobby shop, Skyway, he's got, I'm trying to think here, mission models, AK Real Colors, Life Color, Vallejo, I guess a little bit of Testers still, Tamiya. I would not want to be stocking that much paint. And if you're a newbie just starting, it's got to be confusing as all get up to walk into a hobby shop with 7-8 lines of paint and try to decide what should I be doing. And then, we've all got our own opinions of what's awesome, and there's as many opinions as there are modelers. So, what I tell everybody is find what works and do it, and try to stick to one thing, which I don't follow. I don't follow my own advice, but yeah, I'm loving these AK paints. They're what they kind of remind me of is they took Tamiya and took all the things I don't like about Tamiya away, and that's what the AK line is.
Oh, that's cool. What do you not like about Tamiya?
Well, one is the you don't really have as many exact matches, so you've got to mix up paint.
Okay.
And then two, the Tamiya flat colors to me also, they come out a little bit gritty and grainy, and the AKs don't. And one of the things I've started doing with the Tamiya flat is I just work some Tamiya gloss clear in there, and that makes it a better paint. I think the Tamiya are great paints. I think they're just the flats are a little grainy sometimes, and maybe that's just me. I don't know. And also, I think their metallics aren't as good as there's better metallics out there than the Tamiya acrylics, and they're called the Tamiya lacquers. They're unbelievable.
And I like I said, the moisture seems to affect the Tamiya stuff a lot more than some of the other brands too. That's what I've kind of noticed.
Yeah, I would agree. And yeah, we have no shortage of moisture around here. So,
I mean, you probably get what, an extra probably ½ inch a day compared to what I get, but it's still horrible at the end of the day.
The funny thing about this is everybody thinks it just rains sheets in Seattle all the time. That's not the case. We might have rain every day, but it's not, it's gray all the time, but it's not like it's pouring rain all the time. We get little, I don't know what it's like down where you are, but it's misty, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's yeah. That's fair.
I see these movies that they shoot that are supposed to be in Seattle, and it's just like raining all the time. And I'm like, that's not the way it is here. But maybe I'll keep telling everybody that because we've already got too many people. So stop moving to the Pacific Northwest, people. It's not that great. Yes, and as somebody said, the world is 3/4 water. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and half of it's in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. And I have to, I love living here because I look out my window. I got Mount Rainier. I look out my balcony the other way. I've got, Commencement Bay. So I'm by water and mountains. How can you complain?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, there's a lot of pluses to the Pacific Northwest, and that's one of them.
Yeah, and when Midwest, it was just flat and urban sprawl or farmland. That's all it kind of was.
You mean you could see Chicago and Dallas at different ends of the house?
Yeah. If you're going to Colville and Cleveland, you could see Chicago and well, you couldn't really see over Lake Erie. I guess London is across the way of Lake Erie. Yeah, you could see Chicago from Cleveland. Yeah, that is true.
I've heard that joke a couple times.
Yeah, I like it.
So is there anything that you were your Holy Grail kit that you absolutely would love to do but just can't pull yourself to get it yet?
Well, there's a couple issues with that. I'd said I write a lot. One of my big research projects was the Canadian production and use of the Hawker Hurricane aircraft. And I learned so much about it. It's hard for me to build a Hurricane now because I'm hypercritical. As far as Holy Grail, it was funny. We were talking at the Nationals the other night, over a few adult beverages, and everybody was saying, "What Holy Grail kit are you looking for?" And I said, "I'm just looking for more time to enjoy the ones I have." I've got all these amazing kits I want to build that I'm so excited about, and then I don't really get anything. But it used to be my dream. So I'm a Canadian. I grew up in Canada. I'm actually a big liar. I've been in the U.S. since 1986, but I've always had this dream of building every aircraft flown by the Canadian Air Force. And then I realized that includes biplanes. So I kind of changed that as I kind of want to build all the aircraft in the Canadian Air Force from 1939 till about 1988 or 1990. The one kit I did pick up the Nationals I've been looking for a long time and is surprisingly rare is the Academy P-51 in 72nd scale. And it's not the Merlin engine variant. It's the earlier variant with the Allison engine. And it was one of those kits when it came out, I knew I wanted it, but I said, I'll just buy it when I'm going to build it. And then it disappeared. And I don't know why Academy has never put it out. All their other Mustangs are a dime a dozen. You can probably find them in Hobby Lobby, but this one, not around. So I like the buy some years from teenagers like on Twilight Zone. That sounds good because I feel like I'm 30 and somehow I'm almost 50. How did that happen?
the one thing that I wish I could do is take like the energy my son has at 8, bottle that shit and sell it, and I'd be a millionaire in a week.
Well, I have a 17-year-old daughter who is significantly affected by autism, and I wish I could bottle her kind of excitement about small things. She's so excited about the little things, and I wish I could do that because, I'm the guy who instead gets anxious over, the stupidest stuff and worries about things that never happen. And I don't know if she does that, but she absolutely is so excited. Like, we're going to see a concert in a couple weeks, and I wish I was excited to go see it as she is. It's amazing. Like, yeah, the energy and childhood wonder would be great. And I think we all have it a little bit, but we start getting cynical as we get old, and that's never a good thing.
No, you mean we have to deal with other adults, and we just
other adults and adult stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
So if there's one thing you could change about the hobby, what would it be?
The divisiveness. I wish everybody was way more inclusive. I also wish I had more time for it personally. But yeah, I wish everybody would just accept the view that and I think this was I'm aping this from the Posse podcast because I listened to it on the flight home last night. There's no wrong way to model. Whatever you're going to do is going to be awesome. And the attitude I have is a finished model on the table is way better than, the 1,000 kits that I'm hiding around here, And I wish we would get over, like, I want to improve, but I'm so picky about what I do, and I wish I could shut that off. Because for other people's modelers, other people's models, I love everything, but I'm so critical of my own stuff. But I just wish there was a little less divisiveness and a little less, the one that cracks me up that I see all the time is never use Future. Well, I don't like Future, but that doesn't mean there's 20 guys who love it. And if they're doing it and it works for them, that's awesome. And we don't need to have all this tribalism of subject or technique. Just whatever works for you, and that's awesome. So I'm trying to kind of be this, hippie modeler of let's get. It's all cool. And people who build, I've seen in the past, and I think this was more Midwest than West Coast. Gundams, those aren't real models, or sci-fi is bullcrap because it's not real. No, that's not true. If it inspires you, it's awesome, And we all built exactly like one of the. What is that from? Is that from a movie?
This is Kazon from Star Trek Voyager.
Okay, I'm not a Star Trek guy, but one of the coolest things I saw at the Nationals was somebody had a Serenity class Firefly ship, and I'm like, that's so awesome because I love that show. And it's just, we need to be more inclusive than exclusive. And there's no wrong way to do it. There's, stop being critical of other people's models. Just be a booster of the hobby rather than negative. I think there's too much negativity in our hobby. And somebody just posted, the Warhammer stuff. I know nothing about it, but that's modeling too. Like, I wish we could be inclusive of all arenas. And clearly the Gamers Workshop's doing something because they're making a lot of money.
See, and this is where I think some people get down on Warhammer stuff because the younger generation is like driving to that.
Oh, absolutely.
2 reasons.
Yeah.
You can be creative.
Mm-hmm.
Board game. Mm-hmm. All kids play board games.
Right.
And the other thing is it has a social aspect that all kids love. Absolutely.
Like, yeah, I don't know much about the whole Gamers Workshop thing, but my understanding is pre-COVID, my brother's a Warhammer guy. And I guess pre-COVID, he would go up there. He had a free Saturday, and they're getting together and doing that. And in the scale modeling world, with the demise of the local hobby shop, we don't have that as much. But yeah, I think the future of modeling's got to be Warhammer, kind of Gundam, and I think the other one on the military side is the whole world of tanks, because I think that's why we've seen this explosion of tanks. And somebody just put on there that they want to get a 3D printer. The 3D printer thing is totally cool, other than I have no design or engineering experience. So I want to buy one, but then become a pretty heavy dust attractor. But yeah, the 3D printing thing's awesome. It's just there's so much cool stuff out there.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, and that's a great point. But like the 3D printing thing, the younger generation is really, really getting, because they're in school, they're learning about. I mean, there's CAD programs are going to be, that whole industry is going to be changing in the next 5 years.
Yep.
You're going to see a boom in the 3D printing world because kids are just absolutely driving to it because there's so much stuff you can do with it.
Right. Well, when I was taking the tour of my daughter goes to high school up on the Richie Rich East Side, Bellevue, and what blows my mind is like when I remember shop, we had auto shop and we had woodworking shop, and they have shop that's got CAD design and 3D printing and all this stuff, and I'm like, I want to go back to high school just to take those shop classes. You know, it would be awesome. So. It's amazing to me. The kids are the opportunities to young people today are so awesome. And maybe just I wasn't searching them out well enough, but it's amazing the opportunities they have. And yeah, I think we're going to have a whole generation of modelers who are designing their own stuff. And I think, as you said, in traditional historical scale modeling, there's less creativity. Well, it's to the point now that if you're creative enough, you could create your own characters or your own vehicles or your own things and print those on your 3D printer. That's amazing. It's just totally awesome. There was a vendor at the Nationals who is 3D printing mostly World War I tanks. And it was just cool to see what this stuff was. And I probably shouldn't be negative, but what amazes me is I had a friend who sent me some little 3D 72nd scale armored cars. And they're better than anything I've ever seen come out of Shapeways. And it's amazing to me that a guy in his basement can make better stuff than this giant company. You know, they need to step their game up.
Well, and that's going to happen too, because I mean, people say the hobby kit is going to not go away ever. And I kind of disagree with that a little bit, because 3D printing is getting to the point where a lot of the modelers are starting to get it.
Yeah.
And now these manufacturers don't have to store kits. They don't need the warehouse space.
Right.
They just sell the files. And
right.
It may not be 5 years. It might be 10. But I say at some point that is going to happen because the younger generation is so into 3D printing.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe it'll be like our kids' generations doing that. I see somebody made a comment, Sarah Jane made a comment about, I saw a kid with a badly built and painted model, but he loved it. I would almost say, you know, it's not really badly built and painted. He did it. Like, we all have to start somewhere. And you know, I understand that there is a good model and a bad model, and you can objectify that. But what I'm trying to say is any finished model is a good model. It may not be an award-winning model, but it's awesome. And to him, if he's all excited about it, we don't want to, you know, I know enough modelers who get into the contest thing and then don't win and they kind of get driven out of it. And I don't want to see that happening. And I'm a big guy of any model that's finished is awesome. We need to get away from the contest model and just display more. Because I like looking at models, and I go to contests and look at models, but I'm never going to win it. Well, it's not true. I've won occasionally, but that's only because I tape a $100 bill to my award entry. It's not about improving and getting better. And some people, you know, I once saw, and I think it was a Brazilian guy who had I guess a birth defect that his arms weren't really good, no legs, and he was building these amazing models. And it's just amazing to me that we should be inclusive rather than exclusive. And I hate, and I don't even mean if it's a kid, anybody who gets into this and starts doing it, we need to encourage them to enjoy what they're doing. And it should be about fun and enjoyment. And I think sometimes the hobby gets a little hypercritical, and I hate that. And I just want fun and just people to be excited and boosters. And yeah, we all want to get better, and that's awesome. But don't look down on the people starting out, because we were all there one day. I remember the first kit I built, it was terrible. And I haven't improved all that much over, 20 years or 30 years. So but it's just an attitude change. I wish we could see a little bit more of an attitude change. And I saw even that a little bit at the Nationals. Of the guys have been doing it since the 1950s, complaining, well, used to be we carved it out of balsa wood. Well, however you're doing it is the right way for you. There's no wrong way to model. There's just absolutely no wrong way to do it. One of the things that I did see was, Hasegawa has these lines of jets with anime characters on them. And I know there's some modelers are like, oh, that's crazy. No, if you enjoy it, that's cool. The other thing I didn't mention that was amazing at the Nationals is these figure painters. I can't even comprehend some of the stuff they're doing. There was a guy who had a Batman, and he said his thing had said it was all hand brushed, which I don't believe because it was unbelievable. But he had like different texture for what was the leather and what was the plastic and what was his vinyl hat. It's amazing, and that's a skill level that's just beyond slapping an airplane together. It's awesome. And yes, as Hobby Barn said, the only person to please is yourself. And nothing else matters. It's just, you got to love what you're doing. And I wish we would have more, more, it's all good. It's all good. It's all right, as they say.
Yeah, for sure. So you've got, do you see yourself ever painting a figure?
Probably not, because I think it overwhelms me. I don't think I can pull it off. As I said before, maybe before we went on, I ended up a former business partner of mine. Her husband's also a Warhammer guy, and for his birthday, she wanted to surprise him with all his friends and fellow hobbyists sending him a painted Warhammer. So she sent me this little dude, and he had horns and a big axe, and it was a completely different area of modeling, and I was shocked at how different it was. I might see myself doing more of those, but these busts, I don't think I could pull it off. But maybe I should challenge myself. I don't know. I much never say never, because you never know what's going to happen or what you're going to get interested in. And I just don't think I have the skills. I would love to be a brush painter. I'm a terrible brush painter. Brush painting seems fun, but I never can get good results. So maybe, who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
No, I think everybody should try to challenge themselves with a figure. No, it doesn't matter. I mean, I've used the craft paint to paint when I first started.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I always think you should challenge yourself with the figure, because it's something different.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And there's no wrong way, and there's nothing wrong with priming it in Stynel Res or whatever primer you spray with.
Yep.
And then do your base coat, and then after that it's go in with I don't know.
Yeah, layers and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, we were talking earlier about humidity. I do use Stynel Res, but it again, some days it works great, some days not so much, and I think that has a lot to do with the weather. I also want anybody who can get Stynel Res white to work. I want to know what I'm doing wrong, because the gray and the black are great. The whites,
add water to it.
Add water, okay.
Not don't do a lot.
Yeah, but like a couple drops.
And that was recommended to me by Ken.
Okay.
The guy from Badger.
Yeah.
So, because I had the same problem, and down here, on a nice rainy day, white works absolutely perfect. Day like today, no, it ain't shooting through my airbrush for nothing.
Yeah, and the interesting thing to me is the black is no brainer. I've never had a problem with the black. The gray, I have good days and bad days. The white, I've not had many good days. But no, a friend of mine who's also a plain tank guy, he picked up a Brad Pitt figure from Fury, and he and I have talked about it a lot because he wants to do it, but he's overwhelmed. And yeah, I could see myself doing that. I don't know. The only thing that this is where I'm not a good American. I'm not a big car guy at all, in life. I feel like I just missed that car gene. But again, the gloss finishes that these car modelers get, and they're talking about wiring their engines and all this. It's amazing. And that's one I don't know if I see myself building. I'm not good at gloss either, but yeah, I would see maybe figure before a car. I don't know. Outside of Bullet, watching Bullet and seeing the Mustang and the Charger, cars don't really do much for me. It's kind of a weird thing.
You mean you just haven't seen the right car that you want to build, right?
I haven't seen the car I want to build or the kits. And, it also goes back to when, people kind of lust after cars. To me, a car is just a way to get A to B. Though, on the other hand, if somebody wanted to give me a 68 Charger, I'd probably say yes. So maybe I'm full of crap.
So what do you drive for an everyday car?
I've been amalgamated into the Pacific Northwest Berg. I have a Subaru. Though I do have to say, before that, I had one of the newer Dodge Chargers. But to me, it's more a runabout. And I've got lots of friends who love cars. I got a couple of friends who race cars. And that's cool. It's just I see them more as a tool. I think what's interesting about that is I think that's how a lot of kids see airplanes and things like that, because I'm obsessed with aviation. I'm a pilot, all this stuff. Kids today are like, airplanes are no big deal. Let's talk about spaceships or sci-fi, or the whole Marvel thing is unbelievable. There's so many different things people are into.
Yeah, I love airplanes till you get to the cockpit window.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm basically about as useless as, Yeah.
The greatest thing, I keep thinking things we talked about earlier, is you said, what do you use? One of the greatest things for aircraft modelers are Edward masks, because masking canopies is awful.
Wait, what's an Edward mask?
So it's a sheet of kind of Tamiya tape that they've cut out the individual windows for the kits. So instead of you having to go in and mask your canopy, you just take them off the paper, put them down, and then you can paint them. I wish I had one here. I'd show you, but it's just a little sheet of kind of Tamiya tape, square paper with them already pre-die cut on the thing, and you just tear them out, put them on, and it's awesome. It's made my modeling so much better, because I hate masking canopies.
I'm not good at it either. But so are the masks reusable?
I tend not to. You probably could. It probably also depends how much you paint. I tend to, when I pull them off, I tend to stretch them a little bit, but I think they're reusable. I will tell you what a friend of mine with one of these silhouette cutters has been doing is he scans them in and then makes extra copies, which is cool. There's also some vinyl ones out there that are probably a little bit more reusable, but I like the paper, rice paper tape, whatever that stuff is called, the Tamiya tape stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, to me, that's one of the more revolutionary things in the hobby. And I kind of bounce around. Aftermarket is cool. I don't use a huge amount of it, but sometimes I will. I will disagree with our podcasting friends down under. Photo etch is not your friend. Photo etch will drive me to an early grave.
Well, yeah, but there's I've got a couple friends that are doing the Enterprise ship.
Yeah.
And they literally some of the photo etch they have for the planes fits in the size of a penny.
Yep.
And it's the actual, and it's all I look at that and I'm like, you're not right in the head.
Yeah. And we were talking earlier. The other thing that I do want to try sometime that came from the sci-fi world is the lighting of models. I've got a friend who's building one of the Enterprises, and I know this is sacrilege, I'm not a huge Star Trek guy, and he's lighting it up, and it's so cool. And I'd like to work some of that in maybe to a plane someday. But this whole the other thing that kind of caught my eye at the IPMS Nationals was a Jules Verne Nautilus, and it was all lit up, and that was so cool.
I saw the picture of that. That was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that the sci-fi people are working in kind of working features and the lighting, and that I'd like to see some more of that in traditional modeling.
You're probably right on that, Mopar. It's photo etch equals surgery.
Yeah, I'm sure surgeons love it, but I'm not one. So.
Yeah. I work production for a job, so my hands are already stiff and yeah. So photo etch is not my friend at all.
Yeah,
But
I got enough stress in my legal career. I don't need stress of photo etch.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point.
But I do use it sometimes. Like it works real well for things like instrument panels and maybe seat belts. But like there are certain, if you got to start folding these little tiny things that sit on the head of a pen, that's crazy.
Well, and like the only one photo etch stuff that I've gotten to work is the Tamiya. They're the little Bradley tanks or whatever. They're with wheels and it's like they're like the top of the turret was photo etched. Those I've gotten to work, but yeah, it's still.
Yeah, and I think Tamiya also uses a slightly heavier gauge, which doesn't hurt.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, theirs looks different than the Edward stuff.
Yeah.
The other thing that scares me about photo etch is they come on the frets and cutting them off. Here's what happens. Ping. Oh, I'll never see that again. So.
No, yeah, that's very, very true. So, being in the Pacific Northwest, what do you do? Where's your hobby shop or where's your workbench at?
I live in a small apartment. Unfortunately, my workbench is in my bedroom, which isn't ideal. Yeah, I live in a small condo and don't have a huge amount of space. It would be nice to have a little bit more space, but real estate here is insanely expensive. So yeah, I've got it in my model in my it's kind of next to my office desk in the bedroom.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's just kind of sucks when you're airbrushing, and I need to be better about using my spray booth. But it kind of sucks when you're airbrushing, then you go to sleep, and I hope I'm not breathing all the toxins. But other than that, it's fun, and just wish I had more space. And I'm the only guy probably, instead of having alcohol in the cabinets above the microwave, it's full of plastic kits. So.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, yeah, that's never, yeah. And
there are benefits of being a single modeler and being able to have as many kits and nobody telling you what to do. It's kind of fun. Though people who come over think I've lost my mind anytime I show them what should be. I've had people come over and think it's the alcohol cabinet, and they're like, "What's in here?" I'm like, you don't need to talk about
that. No, I being out here in my garage, I've got several hiding spots.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, it's both awesome and embarrassing how many kits I have. Like I could pretty much go around and pick something cool, but it's also a little bit embarrassing how many there are, and I need to get building.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy at the end of the day how stashes kind of start.
Yeah.
And then like me, I get working and then like it takes me a couple months to build something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're still collecting.
Yeah. Like I came back, I'm looking here, came back with 1, 2, 3, I think 5 kits from the Nationals. 3 I bought and 2 that were gifts. And, I build about 4 or 5 a year. So just that one weekend, now I've got enough. And there's still 100 million other ones hiding out around here.
You know what, Mopar? You just need to build a model. Let's just get
Well, and what Mopar said, I think he said he's car guy. I build models because I don't have a warehouse full of airplane pieces. Because if I was a multi-billionaire, that's what I'd be doing. I'd have a hangar full of airplanes that I need to put together.
Dominic here is on a completely different level when it comes to car stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Dominic is building his own air cleaners with the filter that goes inside out of 3D printing.
Oh, wow.
Like I said, he's on a different level.
Yeah, my other, well, it's not as much of a hobby as it used to be. As I used to fly planes, and I got into the Warbird world, and it's amazing with CAD CAM and multi drilling milling machines. Airplanes that weren't restorable 10 years ago are now restorable. So it's amazing how the CAD 3D printing, multi-axis milling has kind of revolutionized what we can make these days. And the one that is an issue is the Corsair with those big gull wings. The spar that holds those on was almost impossible to build, and now that you can make them. Actually, I don't want to say it was impossible to build. It was impossible to build in any way, shape, or form effectively. And now it's affordable. Well, not to you or me, but to really rich guys who own Warbirds. So,
but I mean, to be honest, all those tools are getting cheaper.
Yeah, everything.
I mean, there's still a price point,
right?
But
I think it's amazing with the 3D printers that people have 3D printers in their houses that are putting out almost professional quality. Like I think it's the Photon, something like that. That's a pretty amazing 3D printer, and it's only a few $100.
Yeah, that's the one that I just got is the Anycubic Photon, and I still have to sit down and actually go through it all to get it to work because I just kind of struggled with it at first. Yeah. But like my filament printer, I can just start it, let it run its first layer, and then go to work. And 10 hours later, the print's done.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I just haven't gotten to that point yet because I just haven't had time to do that.
Right. Well, it's almost like another hobby. 3D printing is another hobby. And I don't know if I need any more hobbies between modeling and flying planes and eating, going out to eat. That keeps me out of trouble.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
I get that.
The only thing I will say, and you said don't want to bring up COVID. The only thing I'll bring up about COVID is we were all very situated to be locked down. Like I was not worried about how I was going to fill my time. I got enough models, so we've got the greatest hobby. Like I think I've seen the meme. We trained for this, So it's great.
I
3D print a bigger house to put my stash in. That's awesome.
That's a good point about the last year and a half with us, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't have hardly any issues, right?
Right.
We were completely fine because we had stuff to do.
Well, and one of the things, and nobody involved with this is going to be around, but I've met a few people that don't have hobbies, and I'm amazed by that. And I'm like, and I guess their hobby is watching TV or whatever, but it's amazing to me that they're not making things because I don't know. That's why I love this. I just love making things and small things, big things. It's just fun to be able to put things together and have something turn out about it. And modeling is also nice because it's also got the artistic side. So you can kind of hit all these different arenas, exercise your brain. And as we've seen over the last 10 or so years, it works well for people who are struggling with PTSD or depression. And I know there's a group over in the UK, I think it's Models for Heroes, that does model building classes with vets who've come back with PTSD and how that's helping them better. And that's awesome. Like there's just so much positive here.
And I agree with that comment that I put on the screen too. You can keep this hobby as cheap as you want it to be.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you don't need to buy. Really, what you need is an X-Acto blade, maybe some clippers, scissors, some paints, and some paintbrushes, and some glue. Like it's a pretty cheap hobby in the scheme of things. I kind of lose it when people talk about how expensive kits are because I'm like, dude, I was flying airplanes that we were putting $500 worth of gas for an hour. So, but. Even kits, you can still get cheap kits. And, it's one of the things a lot of people like to bag on Airfix, but Airfix still has some cheap kits out there that you can afford. And I know some of the Bandai small Gundams are reasonably affordable and not everything's a couple $100. And it's, it's amazing what you can do. And, I've seen people working with minimal stuff, putting out amazing models. And it's great.
And this is just for me. I don't really like using the X-Acto blade because I have an 8-year-old that lives with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I use snippers.
Right.
And I've used everything from like jeweler's snippers, which work great on plastic,
right,
to the Citadel stuff.
Right.
I upgraded to some of that, and I don't have a problem handing my son that to do a kit, right?
Yep. Yeah, as I said, I've got a daughter with autism, and I've just taught her to stay away from the sharp stuff. The funny thing is, she always wants to look at my model bench because I have a little picture of her in the corner, and every time she comes over, she makes sure the picture of her's there. It's awesome. You can do it however you want. And yes, I have a pair of $30-some God hand nippers that I love, but you don't need them. You can build a model and cut off screw with scissors.
No, yeah. I mean,
the Airfix Mustang from the 1970s, not an easy kit to build. Totally agree that.
Well, and the other one, right? Paint.
Yeah.
You can start with craft paint. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people are like totally against it. And I understand the argument, right? I understand the argument. But if you're starting out, it's a way to get you going.
Right, absolutely. And, one of the things that I think is interesting in the hobby is I'm interested in modeling. So everybody says, oh, go get this, this, and this. Well, maybe you want to start with some cheaper stuff to see if you're really into it. And then if you really love it, you keep going. But yeah, I don't choose to use craft paint, but there's no reason you can't. You could probably use oil paint too. So it just to me is again inclusiveness rather than exclusiveness. There's no wrong way to do it. And somebody just put down there, love craft paint. There's a learning curve. There's a learning curve for everything.
Well, and I'll use this example because airbrushes, right?
Yep.
If you want to see if you want to learn how to use an airbrush, start with the Harbor Freight one that's $20.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't go buy, don't go buy Harder and Steenbeck. Yeah. That's $300. No, absolutely. And the other cool thing, I remember when I was a kid and I was into the hobby, an airbrush seemed impossible because they were like, I don't know what they really were, but they were so expensive. And besides Harbor Freight, you can buy a cheap Chinese knockoff airbrush for $20 on eBay. So it's really cool. You don't need to buy the best stuff to start out. And
that's a great one. That's a great comment too. Today's snap kits are great entry level.
Absolutely.
That is no joke.
Right. And I kind of wish to be told, well, I'm gonna jump out here for 1 second because I'll do this with this one. So one of the things Airfix has started doing is they have, and these are not really serious models, but they've got these Lego kind of quick assemble kits that have stickers you can put together. And these are great for little kids to get them interested in modeling.
Wait. That's a Lego?
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how much of it I can take apart. Can you see? It's not. Oh, there we go. Can you see? It's not Lego because that's copyright, but it's kind of the Lego concept. And these things are awesome. I'm trying to see what else I can pull apart here.
Oh, wow.
And then I've got another one. Actually, just built this one last week. This is the newer Lego Airfix F-35. I don't know what I can pull apart here to show you, but these all kind of clip together like Legos. And I think this is a great idea. And I don't know if Airfix has them in, Hobby Lobbies and Michael's, but they sure should work on getting them there.
Oh no, I mean, it's totally crazy. And and Pro Carry Trucker started with an $83 airbrush and compressor off eBay. That is a great steal.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's probably a really good airbrush and a really good air compressor.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't, you don't have to buy the top of the line stuff. It's all a choice. And what I like about this F-35 is this is not a terrible representation of the F-35 when you're all said and done. And the other thing is, if you want to take it on here and fly it around the room, it's a pretty sturdy thing for kids. And it's even got some moving parts and stuff. So I think these Airfix quick builds are really cool.
Wait, what? You will learn more with better tools. I don't disagree with that. But when you have a budget, you got to stay within the budget too.
Right.
I mean, that would be my only thing, but I don't disagree with that comment.
Yeah. And I don't disagree either. And I'm lucky enough to be able to, afford what I want. But one of the things I will say, if you are serious about this, is if you are going to take this, I'd rather spend the money on good tools than an extra kit. And if you start off with the $83 airbrush and compressor and then realize you like it, then at that point, you can go buy the higher stuff. And I think airbrush wise, I think it's worth it, but still. But on the other hand, if you love brush painting, I have a friend over in the UK who loves brush painting and his stuff's awesome. I wish I could do it like him, but it's all what do you like? And there's no wrong way.
No, it's all perspective and what you're willing to do. And
right. And budget and skill set, and I understand that everybody doesn't have the budget. Some of us have a bigger budget for the hobby than others do. And any of the people on the chat who are building real cars, that probably takes up all their budget and they got to be more frugal with their modeling.
No, yeah, it's absolutely that's awesome. So we've hit a little over that hour mark. And usually at the end of these, I let the guest ask me anything they want to ask. Okay. So you can ask me any question you like.
Oh, wow. Now I'm on the spot.
Well, it's kind of fair. I get to ask you all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, no, I like better when people are asking me questions. I guess what I would ask is what are I'll turn around what you said to me, or what are some of your favorite things that is tools and products that have made your modeling better, or that you really enjoy?
So I'm gonna say the 3D printer for at least the filament one, because I know you haven't probably watched a lot of my channel, but I have when you talk to your brother, right, that's into the Warhammer, ask him about a Warlord Titan, and I printed one out that's 3 feet tall.
Oh, cool.
So, and I'm still working on it, but and it's like right now it's kind of in sections, but like I'm waiting for stuff to come in so I can work on the next set. You wish, friggin' Mopar.
What I was going to say is, what kind of tabletop gaming do you do with a 3-foot game piece if everybody else has got 3-foot game pieces?
So in the UK, and I don't know if this is true or not, they'll the little conference rooms that you see, they'll remove the table, like the executive table, and they'll set these out on the floor, and they have a battle scene on just the floor.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool.
I don't know how true that is, but I found the file on Thingiverse, and I was like, I'm never going to afford the $3,000 to actually buy the resin one. So I'll just print one out.
But I can print one. Yeah. So what Steve Courtney said down here, one of our club members only used spray can for paint and has won Best Paint Awards. That's what I mean, is there's no wrong way to do this. Whatever works for you works for you. I knew a car modeler who painted his cars with nail polish and they look great. There's no wrong way to model. It's just what works for you, and what works for me and what works for everybody on this call could be different. Yeah, no, it's really, really true. So tools that other than the printer that I like, I actually have a spray booth. The light's gonna kind of dome it out a little bit, but that spray booth, I found that for like $50 or so.
And then lately, I've been using this. My parents spent a fortune on this. I wish they wouldn't have. But this magnifier.
Yeah.
It actually comes with a stand. This thing was $300.
Oh, geez.
I don't know where they found it. But it works awesome because I mean, there's lights in it. The figures, like I can do all kinds of detail on a figure now. And yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm really looking forward. Like next month, Army Painter's coming out with the new skin tone set. And I'm really looking forward to doing like, you know, I'll zoom out on me for a minute, but like these animals and stuff, I want to do like the greens and yeah, it's going to be really, really cool. And I've got several figures over there that are going to have skin tone.
Yeah, you made me think of something I wanted to say, and I am forgetting what that is right now. You know, it is. Yeah, I've lost it anyway. Well, I think it's just we need to be enthused. Somebody asked, "Do I have a channel?" I have a YouTube channel called A Scale Canadian TV, which is mostly just me ranting to the camera about whatever is on my mind those days, and making all kinds of crazy comments with pop culture and things like that, and a little bit of modeling in there too. But yeah, it's amazing. Oh, I know what I was going to say is, you know, as I said earlier, I pretend that I'm still 30 years old and I'm going to be 50 next year. And I never used to use any magnification with modeling until a friend of mine said, use these cheater glasses like you can get at Walmart or Target or something. And now I can't do it without it. So I'm worried as we go further here, as I age, I'm going to need one of those things. But I do like the little glasses that you can buy that are pretty cheap.
See, my problem with those is like, and I can use my glasses with them too, which is great. But you're always seeing in that perspective.
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
and that's not necessarily how your eyes work.
Right.
But once you start wearing those, if like you took them off and went to go walk in the house, you're going to trip on every little thing because your eyes haven't readjusted yet.
Well, I do dumb things of like I'm working on the model and I decide I need to get a drink and I wear them out here. And then I'm like, why does everything look so weird? Yeah, I do agree. I'm not used to doing that. And then the other thing I want to start doing is I want to start doing build videos on my channel. So I've got to get some sort of little stand for my iPhone that I can look at my workbench, because I've just got one of those kind of arm stands and I talk to that. But yeah, it's never ending. And I fear as the older I get, the more magnification I'm going to need, but I'm going to delude myself for at least another year.
Yeah. When we get off of here, I'll show you my iPhone like when I actually record a video for YouTube. Yeah. I'll show you the setup that I have.
That'd be great.
Because I've shown it on the channel, but I was
watching. There's a famous armor modeler down in Portland called Mike Rinaldi, and he started doing live streams. And it looks like he's got a little tripod for his iPhone that he puts on the bench. So I'm looking for. I actually think I've got one, but it's in a box somewhere, and I got no clue where they are. And I'm sure.
And Rinaldi, I think he's live now, but
it could be, yeah.
No, I think it's noon. I'm not sure what time it is since we've started. Yeah,
it's 12:14, so he might be.
Yeah, he's live now actually, but
talk about a talented guy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, and yeah, I actually want him to come on here, but I don't think we're gonna make that work. But it'd be nice, but yeah. But no, it's crazy just how many people have started using this app.
Yeah.
To stream with, because it's super easy.
Right.
You know, like literally, I don't know if a lot of people have done the YouTube videos for a long period of time, but to do live, you have to have the key, you have to do, and it's just hoops that you have to go through.
Right.
Some of the other things. And this, I set it all up to where I just click this, I go live, like, you know, like right now we're on, today I added a Facebook page because I didn't set a schedule thing because I wasn't sure if we were going to have to go later or, you know, because I wasn't sure if you were even home yet, right?
Yeah.
Today. So I didn't set up a schedule so I can use Facebook with Twitch and YouTube. So
right. Yeah, I kind of know a little bit about social. Like, I don't even know what Twitch is. That's a new one on me. You're not the first person I've heard mention it. I was listening to another guy talk about his Discord channel. There's just so much stuff out there. It's awesome, and I love the modeling community. There's only a few modelers I've ever met who aren't great. Pretty much everybody's great and lots of fun. So my goal is to try to be positive and try to promote.
So Twitch right now is basically a gamer's.
Okay.
It's for the video gamers to have, so they can stream what video game they're playing, right?
I think I might have seen that. There's a woman I follow who does real space stuff. She's a Canadian, and I think she's a gamer, and then she does a lot of vintage space, I think is her channel. And I think she's done that. It's kind of a live, and then she'll put her games up that she's playing and talk as well. Is that okay?
And then figure painters are really, really good or popular over there. That's the biggest reason I'm on Twitch.
Yeah.
But like, and I will say this, I've heard really good things about TikTok for us.
Yeah,
Seems like it's blowing up pretty good over there.
I have joked when we did the social media podcast thing. I made the joke that my goal by Omaha next year is to become a millionaire on Twitch, but none of you want to see me dance or sing, so I don't know. But TikTok, there, yeah, I don't know much about TikTok. I feel too old for that, but maybe I'll talk to my younger paralegal and her friends and see what it's about. So, but I do hear it's big, yeah.
Yeah, it's really starting to become popular. And it's not negative or positive, but a lot of people are getting off Facebook.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, it's sad, but I understand it too with the way the world is right now.
Right, I agree. And that's the thing with social media, and I've tried to take a step back because you don't want it to take over your life. And what I try to do is curate my feeds, and I tell everybody I want to see airplanes, dogs, modeling, and beautiful scenery. That's really all I want on social media. All the other stuff can just go away. And yeah, I sometimes get frustrated because I think social media is making our world worse, but there's also so many awesome things about it. I just wish people would stop arguing and be so angry.
One day that will happen.
I hope so.
One day.
I hope.
Let's just go with that.
Yeah, I hope.
So if you ain't got any other questions for me, I'm gonna actually try to end this.
Okay. Well, I will say thank you for having me on. This was fun, and I guess I'll plug one more. My crazy YouTube is a Scale Canadian TV. Come on over and hear my crazy rants. And I think I'm trying to pretend like I'm the modeling like sportscaster or something. It's kind of fun. And don't watch the early ones. That's all I'll say. Only watch the ones with the tie-dye shirt.
Nice.
Yep.
Thank you for coming on today. I'm glad we were able to make this work.
Yeah, and thank you for being kind of flexible with the time, because I could have done this yesterday, but it's better to do it today when I've got all the gear here.
You know what? I totally forgot about nationals when we set this up.
I did too. That's exactly what happened. I'm not doing anything, and then I realized, I'm going to be in Vegas, but I'll be back Sunday. So thank you for being flexible. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, dude. It's, I don't work Saturday or Sunday at the moment, so someday that'll change again, but not at the moment. But I'm gonna do a quick, exit thing, and then I will talk to you in a couple minutes.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, guys. So that was Jim. We learned a lot about the Seattle area, kind of what he does, and hopefully y'all learned as much as I did. There there is a couple people that like I'd like to see if I could get Steve Courtney on here. Sarah, I can put my email in the chat and I'd love to try to work it out to where you come on here. Same with Dad here. But I'm going to put my email address in the chat, and hopefully you guys make an attempt to, or if you want to come on, just hit me up. I've been slowly, yeah, thanks, Terry. Yeah, I'm right now. I have enough people, I think, for July or all the way to October now. So we're gonna schedule it out a little bit, but I really would love to get some of these other modelers and figure painters on here. But here it is. Yeah, just hit me up on Facebook, and I will see you guys. Next week. Next week, I actually got one of the guys for that went to nationals. Next week's gonna be a nationals kind of topic, and he's another tank builder. Dustin Hinterland, I think is how you say his last name. He is going to be next week. I'm pretty sure we're doing it on Saturday this next week, but time will tell. It's okay. I will see you guys later. Bye.